so far at the Jammu region, which remember has 43 of the 90 seats of Jammu and Kashmir. The bigger chunk, 47, is in the Kashmir Valley, which has arguably experienced the most competitive election that we've seen since 1977. So Kashmir Valley is where we turn our attention to now.
Before we put out the numbers for the Kashmir Valley, I want you to pause and think for a moment. In past elections in Kashmir, 10 years ago and before that, there was so much talk about poll boycotts, separatists, the role of Pakistan, the fact that voters weren't enthusiastic about voting this time. Wherever we traveled, whether it was Baramulla, whether it was Shopur, Kulgam, Anantnag, people were enthusiastic about voting. It's not as if they were in love with what the government was doing. They wanted to ensure that their voice was heard. And that, Rajdeep, by itself. Because when I came back, and I must tell our viewers this, when I came back from covering Jammu and Kashmir during the Lok Sabha election, Rajdeep said, ye Modi ke fans hai, aise bol rahe hain. And I said, no, there is actually a new Kashmir that is visible. Shops were open. And when we said that, take for example, Lal Chowk open till 9, 10 o'clock, Rajdeep said very loudly at that time, well, Lal Chowk doesn't mean anything, go out. You traveled outside Lal Chowk and other places. Law and order is substantially better. People are enthusiastic about voting. They're saying they've made more in the last 3 years in terms of money than they have in the last 30. So before we put out the numbers for the Kashmir Valley, Rajdeep, just reflect for a moment on what India as a country has been able to achieve.
I think what we have to look at the Kashmir election as is a success in terms of ensuring voter participation, which is a huge achievement from the government. Where I think the government has, and I think the numbers will also show that, is when you downsize a state from a state to a union territory, somewhere the residue of anger or discontent remains. And as one experienced Kashmiri watcher put it to me, votes have become our new stones. That we will express our disaffection, our alienation, our anger, our support through votes,
but
which
isn't
is
that
good.
a good thing?
Which is a good thing.
Throw
which is a good
votes
thing.
whichever way
Which is
you
a
want.
good, which is
much
a good,
better than flinging
no,
stones.
1 minute.
No, Rajdeep, because it's not only voter participation which is the big achievement. The fact that law and order is substantially better, the fact that tourism is booming, the fact that that state has better development and infrastructure now are big achievements as well.
Which is why I said the final piece, because I think the numbers will matter in the end. If all of this has happened, if all of what you're saying has happened, and I do not deny a substantial part of what you say has happened, then the BJP should be party number 1 or party number 2 of the valley.
Why should it be number 1 or 2?
Because
they haven't even fought. They only fought in 19 out of the 47 seats.
Rahul, the fact is, let us see, even in those 19 seats, I think the challenge, and this is the challenge.
That's like sending an absurd bar. That you have to beat, you have to run 100 meters in less than 9 seconds only, then we believe that you're a sprinter.
Politics is complex. Voter participation is something to be supported in the valley, and it's a not just voter participation, the competitive nature. Imagine the Jamaat which has boycotted elections in the past, which has led boycotts, part of the Hurriyat, has got independent candidates contesting on the Jamaat.
It has everything to do, unfortunately, with the 1987 experience of the valley. It's going way back far, but I remember 20 years back when we were doing the first ever poll in Kashmir, the memories of 87 election was so afresh in Kashmiri minds that 82% at that point of time people said in the valley the polls will be rigged. They do not believe the system.
Sure, and now not one person has said anything about the poll not being free and fair.
Not a single person has said anything about the process being rigged or anything.
Listen,
I never said what you said.
No, you kept saying that this is overstated. After the Lok Sabha election, I remember our conversation. You kept saying that this is overstated. None of this has happened. That you guys are just projecting things not to be the way they are.
We have to make a distinction.
Yes.
The distinction is, very clearly, it is a success for the government to have what is a relatively free, fair and an extremely competitive election in Jammu and Kashmir. I still believe though, and I believe the numbers will reflect that, when you downsize the state from a state to a union territory, there is an element of residue of anger, discontent, which is not going to be resolved by an election, which is going to have to be resolved by ensuring that the people of Jammu and Kashmir get statehood, as Home Minister Amit Shah has promised. And I think somewhere, a point I made when we discussed Jammu, somewhere we are going to have to find bridge builders. The challenge of Jammu and Kashmir is who is that individual who can carry the same weight or a proportionate weight in Jammu and in the valley. Because, as is being said, we are seeing two states. Jammu and Kashmir.
Okay.
When was the last time that someone was able to build the bridge? It's taken a long time.
Rajdeep,
Very difficult.
But if all is well in the valley, then technically before we go into the numbers, the Jamaat should be not getting any votes because there is no separatist sentiment there. If they are going to be doing well, then there is what you pointed out, that votes have become your new stones.
Yes.
Then if the Jamaat is going to do well and the candidates put forward there...
But let's find out if they're doing well.
Very quickly, since my friend Rahul Kanwal tried to suggest that...
You did. I
know.
remember all that. I was quite hurt by what everything Rajdeep said. When I came back and we ran the show that we did, Rajdeep said it's all exaggerated.
That's not true.
It's not
That's
true.
not true. I disagree, but let me just point out one simple fact.
Yes.
And a hard fact. Who won the South Kashmir seat? Oh, who won the North Kashmir seat?
Baramulla.
The Baramulla seat was won by Engineer Rashid, sitting in jail under UAPA, defeating Omar Abdullah, who was the star candidate with whom you went and did Jab We Met. Sajjad Lom, star candidate, you did Jab We Met. Nobody thought of Engineer Rashid at that time or Abrar Rashid. Let's be honest now. Someone in jail, and what was his slogan? Tihar ka badla vote se. Jail ka badla vote se. My point is, Rahul, when we look at Jammu and Kashmir, we have to see it as extremely complex from most other parts of the country. Lots of currents and cross currents. And it's challenging for any party. Today for the BJP, which deserves credit for some of the things they have done. And I think questions over, as was rightly put, what were the mistakes we made over the last 50 years, which have allowed some of this discontent to manifest itself.
We've done 9 minutes without giving the data. A lot of messages coming with data. So let's just get to it. For the Kashmir Valley, here are the vote share numbers. Before that, I'll just take you through the methodology. 20,013 is the total sample size for Jammu and Kashmir. Out of this, a large part, about 13,437 are face-to-face, 6,576 are CATI telephonic numbers. This is as far as the composition of the sample is concerned. Let's take you through the data for the Kashmir Valley. So I'll take you through the vote shares first. The BJP is projected to pick up about 3% of the vote in Kashmir. It was 2.2% last time, so that's up about 0.8%. The India bloc was at 42% in the last elections. They're expected to come down to 41.1%. That's a drop of about 0.9%. The biggest change, according to Sea Voters numbers, is that the PDP, which was 37.4% of the vote in the last 2014 Assembly elections, is now projected to crash to 16.6%. That's 20.8% down. The PDP crashing is to the immediate gain of the others, who've gone up from 18.4 to 39.3, just 2% less than the India bloc itself. So that's the big change. The crash, Yashwant Deshmukh of the PDP, and the surge in the votes of the others. But the thing is, the others are not one faction. They're made up of lots of disparate components.
Yeah. And there is a significant chunk of votes with the Sajjad Lone's party. In data, roughly in good contest in actually 4 seats, but probably going to win 2, PDP is, of course, the situation there. They have lost a lot of vote, basically, to... The swing is not from PDP to, by the way, National Conference. Swing is from PDP to others. That is a very significant movement.
But that's how PDP rose, actually.
Yeah, so let's look at the seat number, because then I will try and make the point that we were disputing. Just take a look at the seats. The votes we've seen, and I think the votes reflect a story in itself, but look at the seats. When we now look at the current projection of the seats, Rahul, National Conference plus Congress is 29 to 33. So halfway mark becomes 31. BJP is 0 to 1. If they get 1, that in itself will be a huge achievement, because that would have broken the duck. We'll have to see.
They are on contest on 3 seats. As I mentioned before going to the break, they are in good contest in 3 seats.
3 seats, okay. Yeah. And mainly in the higher reaches.
Yeah.
PDP 6 to 10. That's down from 25. So the biggest hit at the moment in the valley is being taken by the PDP, which of course came to power in 2014. Others 6 to 10. And it will be interesting from Yashwant to see who those others are, whether it is the AIP of Engineer Rashid, whether it is the other smaller independents who may have won a few seats. So we'll have to see who those others are, because they could make a big difference in the final tally. But as you are seeing now, look at it. In the Kashmir, in Jammu, BJP was about 29 to 32, and here NC is 29 to 33.
So the BJP will disagree very strongly with this poll, because their calculation is that the NC will, and the Congress will not be between 29 and 33, that the others will be much more. So what Yashwant's poll does is it basically says that yes, the vote share of the Awami Ittihad Party, the vote share of the People's Conference, the vote share of the DPAP, etc. have gone up. But because of the fragmented nature of the contest, this hasn't converted into seats. That NC Congress is the principal beneficiary in a very fragmented election.
No, and more than that, just half a second. Just half a second and then you can come in. The numbers, Shehzad, show NC plus Congress as of now, as per our exit poll, 40 to 48. Halfway mark is 45.
That's right.
BJP 27 to 32.
Right.
You've got PDP 6 to 12, so they are 9 as their halfway mark. Others 6 to 11. What it suggests, Rahul, is if the higher end of Yashwant's poll is there, then the Congress NC gets a majority. If it's midpoint, they will need the support either of independents or PDP. And the battle within a battle, which is NC and BJP, who becomes party number one, is very close. As his poll, NC is, just a minute, marginally higher at about 33, and the BJP is about 29.
Give the party-wise breakup.
Just marginally, it's 33 for National Congress, National Conference, and 29 for the BJP in that.
But very close.
Very close.
Yes, now
there is a
go ahead.
big number of marginal seats at play, which is actually in the Jammu region, the marginals are between the BJP and the Congress.
No.
And while in the Valley region, the marginals are between National Conference and the PDP.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, Rajdeep, and I hope I'll get my full say. My limited point is that no longer can any party claim to be a pan-Jammu Kashmir party. If the BJP with 29 to 30, and it could very well be that we are 31, 32, 33, and NC is 29, it could very well be that. So there might be a situation, Rajdeep, that the Jammu Kashmir might see BJP as the single largest party, something that nobody in their imagination would have thought in the last 65 years. And therefore, I think, Rajdeep, what we often miss is that, we call this that one more, partly fair election. This is not a partly fair election, Rajdeep. The fact is that for the first time in the guliyas jahan goliyan chal rahi thi, Sachin Tendulkar was playing cricket. For the first time, ताजिया चल रहे थे शिया के श्रीनगर की सड़कों पर. For the first time, माँ शारदा के मंदिर में घंटे बजे. For the first time, Rahul Gandhi, whose family could not go there, and Sushil Kumar Shinde could not go there, were playing with barf ka gola, not with bum ka gola. So I think a lot has changed. It's not just a minor change. The entire perception has changed. The entire conviction towards democracy has changed. We should celebrate that.
Okay, so what? Good point, Saul. How does these numbers affect, at the end of the day, government formation? Does this mean, and I throw it open to anyone, does this mean that Mehbooba Mufti, who's taking the biggest hit in terms of seats lost, 25 down to 9 halfway mark, and is a part of India Alliance, was a part of India Alliance, does she decide who forms the next government if his numbers hold? Do you believe that she now holds the cards, or do the independents hold the cards?
There's a problem with that. If NC and PDP ally, on the ground, their cadre are often at loggerheads, right? I mean, recently democracy itself has been suspended, so it's a different matter, but typically that's where the contest is. So if she allies, potentially she opens the door for someone like an Engineer Rashid in a longer term to build up his party.
But I spoke to Engineer Rashid. He made it very clear. You see, he is an X factor. He has less to lose in this election, everything to gain in terms of he's the new factor. Mehbooba Mufti is fighting for relevance. You see, she cannot afford not to have some say in the future, otherwise her party will break even further. A number of her leaders have already left. My limited point, I'm asking all of you around the table, if these numbers hold, we've seen it in Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, Congress, NCP coming together, and there they weren't even part of an alliance at that time. Mehbooba Mufti is even today part of the India Alliance. They may not have fought the election together. Does she come together with them at these numbers? Also, or do they rely on independence? Or does the BJP keep the assembly in suspended animation till someone comes up with 50?
With these numbers, is there any option, Amitabh Tiwari, apart from an NC plus Congress plus whoever comes on board in his required government?
See, if these numbers hold true, there are only three possibilities, 40, 44 or 48. 48 is simple majority. 44 is just 2 seats short of majority. They can manage through independence. PDP is not required. Only if the NC alliance number is 40 at the lower end of the range, then the PDP comes into picture because they will have some 6 to 8 seats. And how has PDP grown? When PDP came for the first time in elections, they had just 9% vote share. They have grown at the expense of others. 30%, others fell to 15%. And that is what is happening now. The others are gaining at the expense of PDP.
The pendulum is going back to the other side.
Where does this leave Rajat Sethi BJP? Because Shehzad makes a point, which is fair enough, that the BJP could well be in a situation, given the of being the single largest party, right. but in no position as per these numbers to form a government. Would I be right in saying that, or would the BJP do what they did 10 years ago and tell the NC, forget the Congress, come with us, we'll give you statehood?
Look at where BJP started 1 month before this election. They were pushed against the wall. There was like all kinds of stories and narratives that were all going against it, and you all covered it. I think the media was full of such stories that BJP doesn't have even relevance left in Jammu also, to a good extent. It was said that they might just end up getting 18 to 20 seats and nothing more than that. BJP, I think, was successful in building up a strong challenge through its Jammu upsurge, and then ensure that the fragmentation happens through there. And others,
but where does this leave the BJP?
See, others,
even
by the way, others, again, I will go back to what Yashwanti has said.
I will just add to your point.
41 and 39% vote share. Just look at that vote share. The texture of that vote share is just too close. BJP, in its strategy at least, they can go away with a moral victory that they became the number one party. That's it. Maybe they will not be able to win.
My question is, forget about BJP MC. Where does this leave Jammu as a region? Because the problem with Jammu and Kashmir for historically 75 years is Jammu and Ladakh earlier were out of the power equation because of the simple fact that valley dominated. Now, one may very well celebrate this is a democratic success, and if these numbers hold true and a national conference makes the government and with the PDP comes into the play, does that not mean that just the other way around, that this arrangement is going to disfranchise the Jammu mandate? Is there really anything to celebrate about if only one region gets to govern, or something which we say it is improbable politically, but is it not correct that it remains one state in India where there is no other way but two political extremes trying to come together and form the government together in order to respect the mandate. The fact is, neither National Conference nor the BJP are getting the full mandate of just like Shahzad.
But which is why I'm asking you the question. Just a minute. Sir, just a minute. Shahzad bhai, 1 minute. In 2014, this is exactly what happened after the election. Two extremes came together. Mufti Mohammad Saeed, the leading party of the valley, came together with the leading party of the Jammu region. Do you see that happening at all this time? Is there any possibility, or do you accept that the BJP, even if it becomes the single largest, has to accept what Rajat called at best a moral victory? What you often say the Congress claims. Congress often claims moral victories. Will the BJP claim a moral victory with these numbers in Jammu and Kashmir, or a political victory, Shehzad?
Can I now make one addition to a fact that you need to add?
Yes.
It's a 95-seat assembly.
Yes, that's right. So I still need 40. See, it's a 94-member seat. You have 4 members in addition. I need 48 for a majority, which is why I said.
And therefore, I think that you can very well see a situation where it will be a BJP chief minister.
How will? Please tell me how.
Everything is not going to be explained to you here on this show.
No, tell me. No. Based on these numbers, I'm asking.
I am optimistic. See, your numbers are a scientific exercise which Yashwant has done, which I respect. I think this is just a starting point. On 8th, these numbers will only add, and there will be a BJP chief minister.
How?
Because we'll get more numbers than what you're showing.
No, I don't know. But even if you get more numbers, you need. Even if you get more numbers,
we'll get more numbers in Kashmir.
You need support from the valley.
I don't think that situation may arise.
Sorry?
I don't think that situation may arise. We will get enough numbers.
You need that.
Let's get some reactions. We've got Riaz Majid, the leader of the Awami Ittihad party, joining us. That's the party of Engineer Rashid. We've got Najmu Shakib, spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party. Omar Abdullah, the NC and the Congress decided they will stay away from this exit poll. Tehseen Poonawalla joins us, political analyst who leans towards the Congress.
Oh, for a moment, I thought Tehseen had joined one of the Kashmir parties when I saw him on screen. But good to know that he's still around. Welcome, Tehseen.
Okay, I want to go across to Riaz Majid.
Wish I will not disappear.
I want to go across to Riaz Majid first. Majid Saab, if this data is correct, because remember, if I translate the Baramulla leads into assembly segments, the Awami Ittehad party of Engineer Rashid was leading on 14 out of 16 in Baramulla. So they had 14 assembly leads. What this data suggests is from there, the Awami Ittehad party hasn't been able to convert votes into seats. So Engineer Rashid was probably drawing more sympathy when he was in Tihar jail. Once he's out, and because of the campaign, the NC and the PDP ran against him, saying he's a BJP stooge. That, according to this post-poll data, seems to have gone against your party, Riaz Majid.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. The first thing is that I'm sure that this, I appreciate the exit poll, but I'm sure that you will have many surprises and shocks for the people who are there in the parties like PDP and NC, because there is a lot of, lot of gap between the noise and the silence, the noise that was there on the roads. Although we had a favorable noise during these elections, we started very late. Our party Supremo, he was lead just a couple of days before the first phase of the elections. But despite that, we are very much optimistic that we will have a good and a formidable number of representatives in the Legislative Assembly. So it's not a matter of not converting. See, it's not all about winning the seats. AIP right now has emerged as a third option, a formidable third option that cannot be just, looked over. So that's the best part of it. Now, the people have an option, and people are reposing trust. They have shown a great faith in our party, in our leadership.
Okay,
and
but
that's why
Poonawalla, if the
that's
NC
what
ends up with
frustrated.
33,
I'm sorry, one sentence.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
One sentence only. That is what frustrated parties like NC and PDP, and that's why they keep saying that Engineer Rashid is a BJP, stooge, or whatever word they may use, right? Because it is their frustration, mere frustration. They are scared to the core.
Tehseen Poonawalla, if the NC ends up with 33, the Congress with 10, the Congress would have proven to be the Kamzor Kadi. If the Congress had a better strike rate in Jammu, was able to deal with the BJP better, this would have been game, set and match for the India Alliance. The fact that the ball is still up in the air and you don't know where it will land in the Bakshi Stadium is because the Congress, according to the post-poll study, didn't put up a hard enough fight in the Jammu region against the BJP.
Also, at the onset, let me take this opportunity to congratulate the Election Commission, the Government of India, and the peoples of Jammu and Kashmir, and for a fantastic election that was held in Jammu and Kashmir, a peaceful election. I hope statehood is returned fast to the state. I respect Yashwant a lot. I respect his numbers, but I do disagree with this. I do think the Congress performance in particular will be slightly better than Jammu. I do think that comfortably Omar Abdullah and Congress are forming the government in Jammu and Kashmir. I do believe this firmly. And I also do believe that PDP will not get as many seats are being projected to her. I think the people, even in the valley, will not vote for the PDP. I think except for one odd seat or two odd seats, because people in the valley have not forgotten. I think one factor everyone is forgetting. Who got the BJP into the valley and into governance, thus creating all the chaos? It was Mufti Saab, and after that Mehbooba Mufti ma'am. After Mufti Saab passed away, Mehbooba Mufti ma'am continued to defend Prime Minister Modi and Rajnath Singh ji and Amit Shah ji. She was chief minister in that government. So people haven't forgotten the fiasco. They also remember that when the Congress and NC did offer to form a government, when BJP pulled out, Mehbooba Mufti did not respond to it. And it was only that last minute she went running to Satpal Malik, the fax machine miraculously did not work. So Mehbooba Mufti's role has been very dubious in my opinion. Yes, she's a part of the India Alliance, but as an analyst, I don't trust Mehbooba Mufti, and I think that's been a dubious role with regards to BJP, and I think she won't get those seats even in the valley. So I think Congress will get more in Jammu,
I need to pause you because Yashwant needs to go to Aaj Tak. But before you go, I want to get you to respond to the issues why people chose a particular party that they did. And the fact that, like in Jammu, even in Kashmir, Article 370 doesn't seem to have been one of the big issues. So there's so much said on TV about Article 370, but it doesn't seem to have driven voter behavior.
Yeah, it's surprising in that way that I was expecting that first election post Article 370 stuff is done, and I was expecting, honestly, inside 70-80% people were saying, yo, this is the thing which we are voting for. And, and of course with the kind of extreme polarization that Valley would be saying that we voted against it and Jammu will say we voted for it. But honestly, I guess the bread and butter issues are more important than 370.
And there has had been a flip impact of Article 370 also, because once others come in and grab lands, they were not able to do so in Kashmir Valley. They were able to do it in Jammu Valley.
Whether in good ways or bad, I would have imagined that Article 370 would be a bigger issue because that's been the BJP's
It's been 5 years
narrative.
also.
It is in its own way. It's in its own way an issue.
It is an issue.
Let's not.
This is not driving motor vehicle.
Pradeep, it is an issue.
You see, if it was not an issue, the Valley parties would have also struggled. Please understand. The NC is not looked at very favorably when it comes to the issues which is highlighting, like employment, for example. People believe that the NCers did not provide necessarily employment. You may say it's your top issue. But if the BJP gets for example, if the BJP got double-digit vote share in the Valley, I would say yes. Clearly, Article 370 is not an issue, statehood is not an issue. The fact is, they've chosen between the various Valley parties who are all united on one thing. If they come back to power, they want restoration of Article 370, they want restoration of statehood. But just to give you an example, when Tehseen Poonawalla, the Congress party, which I think is a story in this, changed its Jammu and Kashmir PCC chief just before the election, replaced Ghulam Ahmad Mir, who had been chief president for years, and Mr. Carr, who's the new president, only went once to Jammu. So you see, the problem is the Congress should have then probably decided, if I've tied up with the NC, let me get a president from Jammu. At least the point which you make, you have to create.
Before I does it, give me 30 seconds because I have to rush to ask that. You see, I think after looking at the data that it still is an issue, but it is not an electoral issue. It remains an emotive issue. Number one. Number two, it's done and dusted. People have moved on. I mean, maybe it is an issue, but it probably is no more an electoral issue. It was an electoral issue till the point it was not removed.
Okay.
But once it is done,
this is where you all get it wrong. If you were right, what you are saying is right, then
no,
Engineer Rashid,
just a minute, suggesting. That's how I am reading right now.
You see, Engineer Rashid would have never won from South.
Why
it's an issue. It's an issue,
Rajdeep, now let me also have a word.
It equalizes.
One second.
Rajdeep, just give me, shut up. Just give me, Rajdeep, 10 seconds. Rajdeep, can I just finish 10 seconds?
It equalizes across parties.
Just give me 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds. What I'm simply trying to say, Jammu Kashmir, 370, these things are very much polarizing. There is a definite line of polarization between Valley and Jammu, we all know for sure. I think people have voted on the same lines. But as I said, it's not about NC, it's not about the BJP. The numbers which I am getting are clearly telling me the mandate is neither is going to be with NC nor with the BJP. I think at some point of time we have to realize that between these two extremities, there has to be a solution with two extreme polarized parties to come along and respect the mandate, because otherwise one of the two regions will always be disfranchised.
No, Preeti, before you go, I'll ask you one quick question. Before Yashwantji goes, one quick question before he leaves. Let's focus on the Congress here, because there's a sense in the Congress that if they would have gone solo, they would have performed much better, especially in the Jammu region. Could that have been a possibility?
No, that's not the case. I think it was a good decision for them to go along with the NC so that the mandate was, because otherwise the Congress footprint in Valley would have detrimental to national confidence.
Go ahead, Shehzad.
25 seconds and I won't cross that limit. First of all, I'm happy that Congress's supporters are at least congratulating the Election Commission. I hope that won't change on the 8th. Point number 2. Rajdeep, why are you stopping here? Why aren't you going ahead and saying the next statement that you should say, and you would say most of the times, that what are the parties in the Valley doing? Why are they making 370 an issue? 370 has been done and dusted. Nehruji wanted it gone. Everybody wanted it gone. It was a temporary provision. Ambedkar was against it. It's been done away with. Now why doesn't Omar Abdullah, Farooq Abdullah, PDP and other worthies of the Valley go and contest election on Roti Kapda Makan? How come all our Lutyens, liberal experts stop telling the Valley parties that, look, boss, Jammu is a more normalized place which votes on Roti Kapda Makan, but you give this Kashmiri population this one thing about 370 chala gaya, tumhare paas kuch nahi bacha. How come we don't now school them and lecture them?
You want me to respond?
No, but why should we school and lecture anyone?
Very simple.
No, because we
it's very simple.
Usually do. We tell the BJP what agenda it should run.
So, sir, I only reflect what I see on the ground. What I see on the ground was simply this. Article 370, frankly, if I'm a Shikara wala, beyond a point, I'm very happy that tourists are coming. My business is doing well.
Right.
Article 370 when pitched along with statehood being removed, and I therefore make the distinction.
Rajdeep.
1 minute, you wanted now an answer. With statehood, with statehood being removed, leaves the person in the Kashmir Valley feeling obviously attracted by the emotions that are spurred on by political parties, feeling that you've been left out. You've been short-seated, you're not being treated as an equal citizen.
Right.
It is a state, as I told Rahul in the start, which has a history, which is scarred, which is fraught, which is fragmented. It's not a normal state. So therefore, there's a problem, Shehzad. It's not easy.
One second.
It's not easy.
Let the Valley parties have their say. It absolutely is a democratic newsroom, and the Valley parties haven't had a say. They must. But Najmu Shakib joins us, spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party. We will find out on the 8th which one is the largest party. Najmu Shakib joins us from the People's Democratic Party. The problem here for Mehboobaji's party is that because of your alliance with the BJP in the past, the credibility of the PDP party and candidates seem to have come down in a way that the votes that the PDP earlier used to get have been transferred to the others. Now, whether it is the AIP or the People's Conference, they're the ones who've benefited, and the PDP is the principal loser in this post-poll study done by C-Voter. How do you look at the post-poll data?
Absolutely wrong, Rahul. It's not the alliance factor, which is that post 2019, Mufti was single vote that was resonating. He was the only one who took BJP head-on. She was the one who took BJP head-on, and we had to pay a price for that. And the price was that our leaders from our party were either coerced to leave the party or were lured, into different political parties. You have to remember that there were 3 political parties that were carved out of, People's Democratic Party. Post 2019, there was a sort of urge in Delhi to cultivate new political parties. As we call them, mushrooming of different political parties. And in this particular election, we see a total rout of those designs. All those political parties have been decimated in this particular election. Yes, our performance is not, of what it used to be. I mean, this is the first election where PDP's graph will go down from 96. This is the first election. But we have to remember in 2014, the role was reversed. We got 28, close to 30 seats, along with Independence and National Conference got 14. So I think this is a reversal of 2014. This has nothing to do with alliance.
But can I ask you, Najmu Shakib, can I press you to say there are a lot of the soft separatist vote, the Jamaat-e-Islami kind of vote, which the PDP benefited from in past elections. Now, if you've got Jamaat candidates as independents contesting, and if you've got the likes of Engineer Rashid's Awami Ittehad party candidates contesting, that vote has gravitated to the AIP and to the Jamaat candidates. Where does that leave the PDP? What's your promise? How do you bring these? How do you recover your lost vote bank?
As far as Jamaat is concerned, look, we are very happy that historical wrongs are being righted. I mean, Jamaat was a mainstream political faction which used to contest elections. In 1987, Tehseen should be proud of it, rigging. These candidates who were forced to then eventually pick up the gun, and as a result of that, thousands and lakhs of our youngsters are still lying in graves. We, as our political party, we are very happy with our performance. We have given a very, very tough fight. Despite the assault on our political party, and I'm repeating again, 40 of our leaders were either coerced to leave the party or were lured into different political parties. Then there was a system that was engineered from Delhi, given the power, access to power. Then there was muscle power. Then there was money power that was given to different political parties, and those political parties were groomed. But this election has proven that there are in valley-based Kashmir regional parties only 2 political parties which still hold the swing. Yes, our numbers have dwindled. Yes, our numbers have come down.
I'm sorry. You're speaking more on the basis of hope than on the basis of data. The data shows the PDP's vote share has come down. The data also shows, like Mayawati in Uttar Pradesh, the PDP faces an existential threat. Now, we know that Mehbooba Mufti, Iltija, and the others are trying to revive this.
Why our vote share went down? Because we have not contested all the seats we used to contest all 90 seats in Jammu and Kashmir. We are not contesting all the 90 seats in Jammu and Kashmir.
Forget the Jammu seats. Look only at the Kashmir seats. Your vote share has come down even in Kashmir.
I agree.
So if your vote share has come down so substantially.
And I agree that there was a systematic assault on our party. 40 of our leaders were course to leave our political party. So we are finding our feet again.
But do you
and
think...
we have put up a very tough fight despite the government's assault.
No, but do you accept, Najmul Saab, that the 5 years, or what was it, 4 years that you spent with the BJP actually hurt you in the Kashmir Valley? It has been used by your rivals in the Kashmir Valley to project you as a power-hungry party in that period, and therefore some of your core voters have chosen to move to other parties who they thought were taking on the BJP in the valley.
Look, Rahul, Congress was a sort of, was an outcast in 2014 when they hanged Afzal Guru, before a parliament election. So things do change. I mean, Congress was an outcast. So today, if some people feel that Congress is the messiah, well and good for them. And I mean, we agree, we are a part of India Alliance and we have nothing, against them. But all we are saying is that what was important...
You're part of India Alliance? No, let me get that clear. You're part of India Alliance?
It's nicely gone by that.
You're part of India Alliance?
Suddenly audio
gone?
Can I
suddenly, how ironic,
in India Alliance, they are hum saath saath hai. In Jammu Kashmir, they are hum aapke hai kaun. And they are going to be told kabhi alvida ho jayenge.
But even in the India
last wala nahi
chala. But on a serious note, jo chalega is the fact that, look, 370 and statehood, you combine the two together, Rajdeep. Rajdeep, how is 370 going to be given by any of these parties, even if they come to power? Let's assume for a moment. How are they going to give it back? ये हमारे लोगों ने पूछा ही नहीं कि National Conference is committing something. It is such a big lie that they have committed. And statehood, to Amit Shah ji has said it in Parliament. Modi ji has said it, and we have said it in Supreme Court. We are going to give statehood to Jammu Kashmir. उनकी हैसियत कहाँ से देने की? हम ही देंगे ना. Parliament.
So I think Omar Abdullah was asked this question. He said, it took many years for the BJP to remove Article 370. It may take many years to bring it back. That's the hope that they're banking on. But remember, the Congress has been highly ambivalent on the issue of whether they'll bring Article 370
some
back.
of the Congress leaders behind closed doors are actually saying that they are ideologically positioned themselves to bring back 370.
But they haven't committed this.
They are not committing in public because it is going to push
backfire. Sure, but they haven't committed.
But they want to go ahead and that
So what I want to do is I want to do some scenario building, and I'll explain why we want to do this. I'll show you what's happened. We're calling this a marginal seat analysis, and this is very important because when you do a post-poll study, you go out to each seat, you sample respondents in that seat, and sometimes the responses that you come back with show just a 5% gap between the party that's in the lead and the party that's coming in at number 2. Now, if the gap is only 5%, frankly, on counting day, that seat can go in either direction. So we did some marginal seat analysis, and I'll build two scenarios. So the poll suggests that there are 18 seats in Jammu and Kashmir which are marginal seats. So that's the total number of marginal seats out of 90. Now there are two scenarios that can be built. One, if all marginal seats go towards the anti-incumbent. The anti-incumbent in Jammu, the incumbent is BJP, so the anti-incumbent would be anti-BJP. In the Kashmir Valley, the incumbent is the PDP, so the anti-incumbent is the NC Congress alliance. So if all seats, which are marginal seats, go to the anti-incumbent, the India bloc could end up potentially between 48 to 56. This is what Omar Abdullah, Rahul Gandhi and the others would be hoping for, that 48 to 56 if the seats which are in margin go towards the anti-incumbent. 48 to 56, that's where they could end up. The BJP in this scenario could come down to between 24 and 29. This would be, of course, to the disadvantage of the BJP, where they come up between 24 to 29. This is scenario 1, where the PDP then comes down to between 2 and 8. So this is scenario 1, where the dice really rolls in favor of the India Alliance. Scenario 2, if the marginal seats go towards the pro-incumbent, then what happens? If the marginal seats go towards the pro-incumbent, this is what Shehzad and the BJP are really hoping for. Then the India bloc is between 30 and 38. The BJP then could be between 30 and 35, potentially in position to be the number 1 party, and then with the help of some of the others and smaller parties potentially even form the government. The PDP between 12 to 18. This is where the PDP does well. So instead of picking up fewer seats like it did, the original projection is for 6 seats for the PDP. Here, they could be between 12 and 18, and the others could then be between 7 and 12. Otherwise, the others are only are much lesser than that. Rajdeep? That's the marginal seat analysis.
In all these scenarios, we are expecting MLAs or those who are chosen to power from the Kashmir Valley to back the BJP and back a BJP chief minister, which is of course what Shehzad is hoping for, and he has every reason to hope. Umeed par duniya kaam hai. And there will be those, importantly, who will say you need bridge builders, representatives of Jammu and representatives of the valley coming together. But in all these three scenarios, in all the scenarios at the moment, the India alliance, that's why I think that was important that he, maybe as a slip of the tongue, said, we are all part of the India alliance. I think the India alliance and Rahul Gandhi's so-called Mohabbat ki Dukan, or what he calls a Mohabbat ki Dukan, this is where he has to make it work. This is where he has to also reach out perhaps and ensure that you have a deputy chief minister possibly from Jammu, if these numbers hold. And the Congress is in a position to have a few seats from Jammu, make sure your deputy chief minister is from Jammu. So even if, I think the cards at the moment are stacked in favor of the India alliance with these numbers. Mehbooba Mufti will find it extremely difficult to go with the BJP. Any legislator today in the Kashmir Valley may find it difficult initially to go.
I'm not sure. It will depend on what happens on the 8th.
No, 3 to 6 months later,
Sir, it depends
3 to 6 months, things can change.
Can I come in?
Yeah,
I think BJP would want it to remain a hung assembly.
That's right.
Let there be a president rule for some time.
That's right.
Allow the ice to melt to thaw between NC and the BJP also. See, Mr. Modi also has his own Mohabbat ki Dukan. He can also reach out to people across the aisle.
And he can promise them statehood. But
there is a bigger problem. While that is wishful thinking from your part, Omar Abdullah and the NC also realizes if they tie up with the BJP, they've seen what's happened to PDP.
It's not going to happen instantly. It's not going to happen instantly.
But they've already seen how the PDP is finding it difficult to aank se aank milake with their voters and try and ask for their vote. People are disappointed. That's the harsh political reality.
She has actually set a very bad example politically speaking.
No, but I think what Rajat said makes sense. There is one possibility. If this is a hung, if it's badly hung.
Yeah, because
you see, badly hung, and my friend Shehzad was right, I was wrong.
Yeah,
there are 5 seats, not 4 from the LG, so you're talking about 95. So I need 48. I need 48 to have a clear house. You know, there are question marks over whether this assembly also has only the powers of a municipality. And at some stage, maybe post-8, we need to look at that, because that is also troubling in its own way. These are the complexities of Jammu and Kashmir. But, Rahul, if no party gets 40 plus, which means I need 8 more, 9 more to form a government, it's very possible that you'll have you'll have president's rule, assembly put in suspended animation for now, president's rule, and then give 2 to 3 months for all sides to melt away their differences. Who knows? NC, BJP. Fact is that statehood will be on the plate then. Easier to give statehood and say, look, I'm going along with the BJP because they're giving statehood. That could be a promise made to NC, could be made to Mehbooba, more unlikely given the sharp divergences that exist on core issues between the BJP and the PDP. But the NC is always there. You yourself said that in 2014 there was an attempt made to bring the two together.
This is a clip that I shot in Shopur. My dad commanded a regiment not far from there. When an army cavalcade, Rajdeep, used to pass from Shopur, they would be extra alert because at any point in time they could get fired at. Just look at those crowds. There are hundreds of people coming out. The shops are open till late in the evening. They're campaigning without fear. As we look at these numbers and wait for the final result in the 8th, let's also for a moment celebrate the fact that law and order is substantially better. This is a very changed spectre of what we are seeing in Kashmir. The BJP calls this Naya Kashmir. Several things still left to be done, but several gains as well. And this is really the moment when you capitalize on the gains by restoring statehood at the earliest possible, which is what Messrs. Modi, Shah, Ram Madhav and the others have promised. This is when they need to deliver on that promise.
Can I have one line?
Yes, of course.
If the alliance of NC Congress gets less than 47 seats, they should accept it as a mandate not for them, but for, in fact, the governor's rule.
Shehzad Punawala
is really clutching at straws by saying that.
या तो मेन दरवाजे से एंट्री हो जाए,
straws.
नहीं तो खिड़की से एंट्री हो जाए.
But Shehzad, you just said 10 minutes ago that there's going to be the CM from the
Bharatiya Janata Party. Right now we are discussing the art of possible. It's a democratic newsroom, so I am trying to engage your discussion.
How do you see these numbers, Preeti? How will these numbers be seen by the India Alliance in particular? Will they be seen as, if they get 40 plus, will they bring Mehbooba on board?
I would think, Rajdeep, the Congress would prefer to do business with the Mehbooba than the independents. That's what I feel. That's my gut. that the Congress would want, and I don't think that the NC would prefer to go with the independents.
Despite her strident stand on particular issues, for example, she's very clear that Article 370 has to be restored at the earliest, which cannot happen.
Rajdeep, we spoke to, if you remember, that the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which culminated in Kashmir. Now, I remember I was there and I spoke, there was Priyanka Gandhi, there was Rahul Gandhi, there was Mr. Khadge. On the left-hand side, there was Omar Abdullah. On the right-hand side, there was Mehbooba Mufti. At that point of time, there was a sense, at least with, what they told us, and, we spoke to them, and they said that they needed to bring them together. And Mehbooba Mufti and the Congress have enjoyed a fairly cordial relationship.
No, when we interviewed Mehbooba as well, she said that she hopes to be kingmaker.
Yeah.
So when we interviewed her in Kulgam, she said, I hope to be kingmaker. The only way you're kingmaker is if NC and Congress are short of a majority. That's when they need the PDP. And that's her real hope, that she gets to play the role of kingmaker. Omar Abdullah would much rather be clearly in pole position to form
because,
the government.
out of those 6 to 11, what if my friend Engineer Rashid has got 8?
Why is he your friend? Look at the venom he spews against India. Why is he your friend? How is he your friend?
I'll tell you.
Why should he be your friend?
Look, when I use the word political friend, I don't invite him home for dinner, but he's been very warm to me in terms of explaining
No,
not khila pila. Over the years, and this goes back to over 2 decades, Engineer Rashid is one of the more...
He plays a very dangerous brand of politics, highly sectarian, pro-separatist. It's a very, very dangerous brand of politics Engineer Rashid plays.
Do you think the BJP will subscribe to that dangerous band of politics if there is a need to?
I don't know. Let me answer my Engineer Rashid question. Yes. Engineer Rashid is not about what he's never killed or pillowed me ever. If anything, I have killed or pillowed him because he's always come to me as if he's got no money in his pocket. So, look, I think Engineer Rashid, and I've known him for 20-25 years, goes back to the late 90s, when he actually knocked on my door at 9 p.m. in Kashmir. And in those days, if you knocked at someone's door at 9 p.m. in Kashmir, you wondered who it was. But he was, to me, someone who never hid who he was. You could call him soft separatist, you want to call him separatist, that's up to you. He was very clear, he was going to contest elections within the constitution of this country. He won 2 elections as independents, and we know that's not easy in this country. He won an election in the Lok Sabha against a former Chief Minister and Sajjad Lone, again not easy. I was impressed by his connect with people, and that's what politicians are about. And when I say friend, I find friends in politicians who connect with people, because through them I learn a lot. I learn about what it is to be a politician. I think Engineer Rashid has shown, and he's lasted the course. He's not someone who's just come in for one election or what. He's now lasted 20 years. And as I said, because those numbers are showing 6 to 11, he could be.
No,
he could be also.
6 to 11 are not AIP. That includes People's Conference, that includes Altaf Bukhari, that includes...
defense of Rajdeep, which has never happened before.
But Shehzad, there a question first.
You want to defend me? I'm worried.
Will the BJP be open to doing business with Rashid? Engineer Rashid? That's the question I want to ask you. If he spews so much venom against India, will the BJP, when the D-Day comes, be open to doing business, or the doors are shut for good?
I don't do the hajamat of a baby that's not been born.
You can say no.
So
somebody who spews venom
against
the country,
why would
the BJP want to do
the no
business
that
with
you're seeking from me or the yes that you're seeking from me. Answers are given in the way I desire. You have asked the question the way you desire. I'll answer it in the way I desire. And obviously that's how a democratic newsroom works. But having said that, Rajdeep can call Rashid Engineer his friend. If Channi gets up and defends Amritpal Singh in Parliament, I mean, Rajdeep is still doing a lesser sin.
No, defense. Look, when you cover Indian politics, you cover it as an observer. How many independent candidates do we know, Rahul, who over 20 years
Lok Sabha
have won Lok Sabha, then build a party like he's just come. In fact, this is what he told me 2-3 days ago. He said, would
you call Amritpal your friend?
No, I don't even. I've never met him. So you're now. Engineer Rashid, a couple of days ago, told me had he had more time. Remember, he only got in after the first phase was over. He believes he could have structured a more cohesive alliance. And what is very interesting.
By disagreeing with you, I want to disagree with you. The more time he would have got, the more he would have been exposed. He won the Lok Sabha elections because he was a bit of an X factor. He was in jail. He got sympathy. People said they took out their anger by voting for him.
Sure,
the more he campaigned, the more he would potentially have got exposed.
We don't know that because his critics all attacked him as a B team of the BJP. Omar Abdullah called him B team of the BJP. Mehbooba Mufti called him. We don't know how that's played out on the ground. We still don't know. The fact is, And that's why Kashmir is complex. You've got people there who don't want the traditional valley parties either. They're looking for change. In this vote somewhere, in the numbers, I think the real story is the others going up is a sign people want change. They are tired.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah, but that change, they don't see Bharatiya Janata Party representing that change because it is seen whether Shehzad likes it or not in the valley, and I must call a spade, it's seen as a Hindu party. It's seen as a party that has downsized India's only Muslim majority state to a union territory. On the other hand, the valley parties, traditional valley parties, are seen as dinners who've exploited them for years, and they're looking for options.
So we'll slip into
that's
a break
the
right
reality.
now. Kashmir and its politics is so fraught with complexity and layers that we can be here all evening discussing Kashmir. That's just how fascinated we are by the politics of Kashmir.